It was very much like I had to be completely transparent and honest with myself and be able to call myself out on my BS. Welcome to Brand Talk with Rachel and Drew. I'm Rachel. You guys have me all to yourselves today. Drew is actually up in the air on a helicopter, and I'm gonna, hang here with you guys and pretend that I'm not stressed about it. So today I want to talk to you guys about the cost of inaction. And that is something that I see a lot of. I see a lot of just inaction in general. It doesn't even matter if it's business related, if it's health related, if it's, even you maybe choosing to engage or not engage in your own relationships, your own friendships. So a lot of this, I believe really stems back to mental health in the world in general. I've seen a significant decline over the last several years. And I also see just a lot of people who are extremely burnt out. And because of that burnout and because they just don't feel fulfilled by the work that they're doing, it kind of becomes more of like almost like paralysis. And it's really sad to watch because you've got people that you've seen them sparkle before, and I've certainly had, trauma and all kinds of stuff in my life and different seasons of my life that, that were not so fun. And I've also had incredible seasons of my life. And I think that the biggest thing that you guys can do if you find yourself in a season of burnout or you're just finding that it's difficult to make just like simple decisions, therefore you make no decisions at all or whatever the case may be, or maybe you find yourself putting things off, or you find yourself just, avoiding things altogether. So there's a lot of different like ways that this can show up in your life. And if it's happening in your life, in your personal life, sometimes it doesn't happen in the business life, or it'll happen in the business life and it doesn't happen in the personal life. So I don't want you to think that because this is not happening in one area of your life that you might be immune to this happening to you and or it's not actively happening. I obviously in 2017 went through a very tragic, just circumstances. I became a widowed single mom overnight. It was literally the most heartbreaking, most stressful, most confusing, most just horrible time in my life. And obviously in the lives of my two kids at that time that I, was then left to raise by myself, Kenzie and Evan. And it was terrible. And I felt that, in my personal life, like everything was in shambles. I felt like, I couldn't make decisions. It was challenging because I had this other person that I was doing life with. And, if you're married to someone, whether you're happy in your marriage or not, you still have this other person in your life, and this other person that you just kind of fill in about your day, or what do you want to eat for dinner? Or what are we doing this weekend? Or what should we do with the kids this weekend? Like there's just other person to kind of like help you make decisions and do things. And so when that person is gone, it not only are you in a season of grief and, all kinds of confusion, you all of a sudden have this challenge where you can't make simple decisions, and I certainly went through that. And, on the flip side of things, the business was not in shambles. The business was very much busy and moving and grooving and all these things. And I felt like I didn't want to bring my personal crap into the business and then have that be in shambles too. So, maybe you see yourself in my story, maybe you don't, but, I wanted to share this with you guys because the cost of inaction is expensive. And what I mean by that is when you aren't making decisions or you feel paralyzed, you feel like you can't even get out of bed some days, like that is impacting you in more ways than you might realize. It's impacting the ones around you, whether it be your family, your kiddos like me. It's impacting your team in the salon, your management team, your leadership team, these stylists that are looking up to you, or these employees are looking up to you for you to lead the way. It's going to cost you all kinds of things. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you freedom. It's going to cost you loyalty and trust. And so if you find yourself in this place where, it's difficult to make decisions, you feel like you are not being active inside your own personal life or your business or both, my best advice to you guys is to and I did this, I would literally count to 3 and then do the thing that I know I needed to do. And I would just tell myself, okay, 1, 2, 3. Like, I just have to do it. Almost like you're jumping in the pool. And that helped me a lot because it almost like forced me to do things that I know I needed to do, but I was avoiding. And another thing that was really important too, for me to even get to that place, was just to have a very honest, open conversation with myself. And it wasn't really out loud, okay? Look like a crazy person. But it was very much like I had to be completely transparent and honest with myself and be able to call myself out on my BS. And if you are able to do that, like, that's amazing. If you're unable to do that, or you feel like you're not going deep enough, or you're not being like truthful enough with yourself, it's important for you to just completely allow somebody else to just speak freely and open with you. All right, guys, I got to tell you about an incredible event that you don't want to miss. It's happening in Palm Springs, September 13th through the 15th. This is something that is going to be the event of the year for CEOs who are wanting to build their wealth. So if that's you, I'm going to put a link in the description below for you to get your ticket. Don't miss it. Now back to the episode. And one thing that you can do in your business life or your personal life is you can, find that support person, whoever that person is, who that person is in your life. And just say, you know what, I'm really struggling with XYZ right now. And I'm having a hard time like making decisions, and I'm having a hard time leading. And I know it's impacting the business. I know it's impacting you. I know it's impacting the team. I know it's impacting the family, whatever it might be. I need your help in helping pull me out of this rut that I'm in. And I'm giving you, whoever this person is, I'm giving you permission to speak openly and honestly with me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to hold things against you. I'm not going to get frustrated or cry or whatever. I just need you to be open and honest with me about what do you see here? And another thing that I think is important too, whenever you're trying to go from an inactive state into an active state, is go back and like watch videos of yourself. Like, I'm sure you have videos of yourself throughout your life, even before this time period, this rut that you're in. Go back and watch videos of yourself. Watch pictures, look at pictures of you and your family, or you smiling or laughing or whatever the case may be. You will be able to find your sparkle inside of that. And for you to notice, okay, what's the difference between my life now or my business now and my business or life at that time? Right? And the golden days, like what was different between then and now? Chances are the thing that was different, it might be the people that you're surrounded by, or in your, in this instance with me, I had at the time when I was the lowest point of my life, I had a physical person missing, right? I could look around, like they're not there. Okay. They died. And that was a very obvious thing that was missing from this point in my life to this point in my life. However, the other things that were missing was I wasn't prioritizing myself. I wasn't taking care of my health. I was only working from the moment I opened my eyes to the moment I closed my eyes. I wasn't making time for my faith. I wasn't spending time with my family. I wasn't getting sunlight daily. I wasn't making time for myself. There's a lot of things that are different between that season and that season. And it wasn't just the fact that I had one person there and here, and then he wasn't there. It wasn't that. It was a lot more than that. And I want you guys to do a little evaluation of your own life and the different seasons that you're in. And if you're in a good season right now, I'm so happy for you. That's incredible. I want you to remember this season down the road if you get into a lower season. And I want you to remind yourself of what's possible. And, only you can do this for yourself. Like, other people can remind you of things and help you try to see what reality actually is. But your ability to see your own reality through a very, just kind of a neutral lens, and be able to see these different things that are happening or not happening or used to be there that aren't there, and be able to really curate your current reality into something that's maybe more favorable for you, that's more exciting or more positive or more enjoyable for you. And I think a lot about this when it comes to business. Now, obviously, and I gave you guys a personal example and a little bit of a business example, but in the business, because you are an owner, likely listening to this episode, you have so many people relying on you to put on a happy smile and just walk in, act like your life's perfect and nothing's wrong. Okay. I also have a lot of people counting on me to do that as well. And sometimes that can create where you're having to turn it on. Okay. You're having to like literally turn on a switch to smile, to laugh, to be a good example, to show up on time, to act like you're excited about what you're doing. And what ends up happening when you're faking it, okay, and I have done this a lot in my life, is it creates almost like this false, it's exhausting. It's exhausting because when you turn it off, you feel absolutely depleted. So the reason that I bring this up is because I want you guys to know that this is normal. This is normal. You're making modifications at work to be and act a certain way, and then you turn it off whenever you're walking to your car, and then you sit your butt in your car seat, and then you realize how exhausted, depleted, burnout, worn out, just on autopilot that you are. And the type of autopilot that I'm referring to here is the same autopilot that happens when you leave the salon or leave your place of work and you drive home, and all of a sudden you're in your driveway and you don't remember getting there. You don't remember how you got home. You know, you're just zoned out. Okay. I literally lived multiple years of my life in autopilot, and it takes constant effort and intention to not go back to that place. All right. Especially if you've struggled with being a workaholic like I have, especially if you've had, you know, somebody very close to you, a loved one pass away, a spouse or something, like you can very much find yourself living in autopilot. And the trouble with autopilot is although you are, you know, breathing, you're standing, you're blinking, you know, you're breathing, all these things, you can still literally not be there. And that I see a lot of in business, because you'll see an owner who was very burnout, who is faking it all the time. She knows it, the team knows it, and yet nobody's saying anything. So you've got to have somebody, just one person, okay, not everybody, one person that you can really rely on and count on to be honest and transparent with you, that can really call you out on your BS. And for me, I can think of a couple people in my life who I have that type of relationship with. And I don't have a ton of friends, okay, but the friends that I do have, you know, they have a very like candid, open, honest feedback channel with me. And I have the same with them. And I think it's super important to have, because that's the only way that you can kind of have an accountability partner as to maybe how you're showing up in your personal life or your business life. All right, guys, real quick. If you're a salon owner who's tired of grinding behind the chair with nothing to show for it but a sore back and an inconsistent bank account, you need to BYOB, build your own brand. This is our signature program helping salon owners all across the country launch their own private label hair extension line under your name with your profit margins and your rules.
It's not just about services. It's about creating an actual brand that can sell while you sleep. Our students are launching their own Shopify stores, wholesaling to local stylists, and finally stepping into the CEO seat without having to reinvent the wheel.
We're literally handing you the playbook: branding, fulfillment, marketing, legal, all of it. If you've got the hustle, we've got the system.
Click the link in the description below to book a discovery call with our team. Let's build a business that works for you and not the other way around.
BYOB, because doing hair should be because you want to, not because you have to. So when you can have that and you can make those constant daily efforts of like, okay, I'm doing it again, or they can tell you, hey, you're doing that thing again that you don't want to do. Like, you know, you can intentionally find yourself just within a few days getting completely out of that state of burnout. A big contributor to burnout is going to be the faking it day to day. Okay. The second contributor to burnout is going to be your calendar. Your calendar is going to be where you're either going to fall, you're going to fall victim to your calendar, meaning AKA you're going to be a martyr, where you're going to be like, look at this, or so-and-so did this, or I don't have time for this. And it's like, dude, it's your calendar. Like, if you want your calendar to change, you need to change it. You know, and just because you've been working whatever the schedule is until, you know, from the beginning of time, doesn't mean that you're not allowed to change your schedule. If you've been, let's say you are spending too much time working in your business instead of working on your business, you know, and you're like, well, I have so-and-so at this time on this day and I can't cancel her. I can't reschedule her. Yes, you can. You can. If you give your client a 48-hour window to reschedule or cancel on you, you can do the same. Give a week's notice or whatever. And how this looks is you guys are going to go do an audit of your calendar. And I can tell, and I've done this with our coaching clients. I have done this. I'm like, okay, you're exhausted, you're burnt out, you don't have time for date night, you have no time for your family, you're gaining weight, whatever the things are. Okay, it's always the same, by the way. Show me your calendar. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, show me your calendar. I want to see where you've been spending your time over the last month. Show me. And I can go and see that everything's overlapping and nothing fits and there's no personal blocks of any kind on the calendar. They're choosing to see clients over seeing their family, you know, because they have to. Okay, I used to tell myself this too. You don't have to. You can delegate things out to your team. Your team can take your clients. It's okay because guess what? If you own your business, they're still your clients. You still benefit when that person services that person. All right. So like you have the ability to solve most of your problems that you're currently dealing with. You really do. And you might need to loop an accountability person in to help you have the courage or strength to do that or to stay on track. But once you get a couple days in, a couple reps in of doing this, you do your personal audit, you go overhaul your calendar, you're going to go put in time blocks of things that actually are important to you. All right. I did this about a week ago and you're going to do this often. I'm in a different season of life right now than I was even 2 months ago. Okay. I had a baby 8 weeks ago. His name is Memphis. Okay. So my schedule is going to look different right now. Not even for like my maternity leave timeframe. My schedule is going to look different moving forward as well. And I'm actually super excited about it because I get to create my calendar. I get to create my schedule. If you own your company and you feel like you have no time off, you have no time with anybody, you can't take a vacation, you can't take a personal day, whatever the case may be, you can't make time for the gym, it's you. You are the one that's going to make that change. It's nobody else. Nobody else is going to just say, you know what, today I think I'm going to go into her calendar and I'm going to go and rearrange everything and I'm going to make things perfect, perfectly balanced for her. No one's going to do that for you. You have to do that for you. And when you do that, then the challenge becomes executing what's on the calendar. Okay. Notice this is all coming back to you helping yourself be accountable for the things that you say you want. And let's hypothetically, let's say following this podcast, you go sit down, you spend 30 minutes going through your Google Calendar, you're deleting things, you're creating recurring blocks, you're putting in drive time so you have good transition time. You're making time and you're making space, I should say, making time for the things that are important to you. Let's say you do it really well the first 2 days because you're like super motivated. Let's say the third day, the fourth day, you start slacking. By the fifth day, let's say you completely are like, I literally fell off the wagon. I don't even know what happened. A lot of times what people will do is they will just come up with the conclusion. They're like, well, I'm not cut out for this. I'm not good at this. This doesn't work right now. I'll try this again later. Get back on the wagon. Try again. Do it again. Okay. You're not going to be perfect at it. There's some days where like the whole day like just falls apart and I look at my day and I'm like, what the hell happened today? Oh my gosh. Like I literally was supposed to have the most incredible day ever. And instead I sat in traffic. My car, had problems. I had to, this person called out sick. I had to go do this. Like it happens. But what can happen is the following day, you can be even more intentional to have the day that you thought you were going to have yesterday. And this takes the use of technology. It definitely takes, your own self being intentional about what you're doing. And you're going to have to loop in that accountability partner 100%. And, if there's so many different like really interesting personality tests and things that I've taken in my life. Myers-Briggs is one of them. Human design is one of them. Predictive index is one of them that I really, really like. And, with those things, those are just tools to help you evaluate and assess your own behavior and your own just the different like things that you do. And for me, I am actually right dead center between introvert and extrovert. Okay. If you're very close to me, you know this. If you aren't close to me, it might surprise you. So, when I go on stage and I'm teaching on stage at any of our events, or hair shows, I have to turn it on. I have to be extroverted. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring stage presentation. I have to turn it on. And guess what I also build in for myself following whatever my presentation is I will go chill for a second. I will go sit down. I will go eat. Sometimes that might look like Drew saying, hey, you sit down. You need to eat. You need to go recharge, because you could find yourself like trying to push yourself to go, and you maybe aren't giving yourself that time to recharge, that you really, really do need, and what happens for me when I ignore those symptoms, okay, such as I'm tired, I'm underslept, I haven't eaten, I haven't done this, I haven't had water, I've had too much caffeine, not enough of nutrients, if I'm left to my own self, I will ignore sometimes those different cues. And thankfully, I have an accountability partner in the form of Drew or maybe our operations manager to say, hey, you need to sit down, you need to eat. Here's some food. Here's some water. Here's electrolytes. If you don't do this, you're going to get sick. If you don't do this, you're going to lose your voice. Any of you guys been to our event and my voice has been damn near gone? That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. I've overworked myself. I've pushed myself too hard the week leading up to the event, and I haven't had enough R&R, and therefore I am compromising my voice, my health, etc., to be able to do this thing. All right. So this stuff happens often. It takes you and me and our accountability partners to be able to dial things in, be able to, stop chaos or problems from happening before we get there because we'll push it too far. And, this takes constant work. So following this podcast episode, I want to encourage you guys to do a little audit of your time, go in, make time for the things that are the most important to you. And I want you to honor that time. I want you to make a commitment to yourself to do that, to honor that. And if you don't get it right the first day, it's okay. If let's say you're a couple days in and you're killing it and you fall off the wagon or you revert back to old behavior, it's okay. Get back on. And I'm also excited to see what you guys create inside of your calendars because I've been able to help a lot of our private clients be able to change their life, their marriage, their relationship with their kids, their relationship with themselves by just reallocating their time. I'm not suggesting that we take things away. All I'm saying is that you have the ability to rearrange things to create a schedule and a life that flows better for you, that will allow you to show up better in business, in your personal life, in your relationships, and also for yourself. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and for watching. And I can't wait to see what you guys create inside your own calendars. See you on the next episode.